Greetings. This is Brother Blacklight. I'm coming to you today in all sincerity. I'm going to appeal to your sense of reasoning. We got to reason things out. I'm using my lifespan, 72 years of experience dealing on this planet in the wilderness of North America. I favor the teachings of Master F.E.M.A Muhammad given to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, this is my conception and my perspective on what was done to the Nation of Islam. And the reason why I'm taking this approach is because at one time you had a resistance to Uncle Sam and the King Alfred plan, aka Rex 84. We're going to get into this very seriously. I've been sitting on top of a tape, audio tape, with evidence of Jim Jones being an agent. And as you know, Wallace D. Muhammad, when his daddy died, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, died in 1975. He was hanging out with Jim Jones. He brought Jim Jones to the temple, and the nation ain't never been the same after that. See, the Caucasian, by us going to his public schools and colleges, and by us being once slaves, physical slaves and mental slaves, he hypnotized us or brainwashed us or conditioned our minds in a way where we lost all knowledge of who we are. And when Master F.E.M.A came over with his teachings was to psychologically, mentally, spiritually put us on the right course, on that right high vibration. Because mainly what he was doing was teaching us the science of righteousness and truth. So he was trying to purify us. We were going through a purification process, and the reason why they said Allah came in the person of Master F.E.M.A Muhammad was because his vibrational frequency was that of a higher supreme vibration, higher than we know. And he was attracted here in Detroit for not just in search of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but the frequency that Detroit is on in this hemisphere, in this latitude, and the people, the hardness of the people that came from down south to work up here in the factories. They characters. They were made up of very uniqueness. Hard-hearted, stiff-necked. These brothers up here that came to Detroit, came to Michigan, were fearless. And they came up here to get paid. Now, the auto companies, they didn't want these brothers up here in their factories. The whiteys didn't want them up here. So they had to first get through these caucasoids up here that worked in the factories, and then they started out working the caucasoids. Caucasoids didn't like that. And then when they started forming unions, the caucasoids didn't want them in the unions. But they forced their way into the unions. They had to fight. And, one thing led to another. But what's going to happen now is that when Master Farad came, Uncle Sam had to find a way to deprogram, or they had to find a way to crash the program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They had a hard time doing it. So they found the weakest links, and put some of their agents in there. And one of the strongest ministers that Elijah had was Brother Malcolm. And they knew how to get to him. They got to him. And then they got to his son. I think his son was first, if you ask me. I think when Elijah sent his son over to go to school, over in the Middle East, so-called Middle East, that's when they got to him. Now, Minister Farrakhan never was that much devoted to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They seen all these brothers seen that was in the top ranks, top positions, they seen Cash Money. They were very charismatic in their verbalization, very elegant in their speech. And Minister Farrakhan, he was one of the most educated of them all, because he knew the English language, and he was in show business anyway. And I know, I'm going to tell you about my history and who my people were. I've been saying this all along, but I got to keep on reiterating who I am, so you won't think I'm like the rest of these brothers out here. See, everyone prefers that a young brother to galvanize the community. They want a young brother, a young black brother, a young black woman to come up and galvanize the community, because the futures of our salvation is in the youth. And so the Caucasian knew this. See, the Caucasian got a head start of us as far on us brothers over here in America, as far as the sciences are concerned, like psychology and philosophy and all the sciences. They got it because, you know, for a couple of 100 years we couldn't read or write or speak, you know, go to school or nothing. So they got us on that, you know. They've been study reading and writing and learning from around the world, and we didn't do that, you know, because our hands were tied. So they had to figure out a way to counter the teachings of Master Farah Muhammad. So they had to penetrate. Now they were on the inside before the Honorable Elijah Muhammad got in it. See, one thing about the government of the United States, when they send out spies and agents, these spies and agents, when they be in deep cover, they come into your neighborhood or on your block to spy on someone that they feel is a threat. And they come in as a family. Yeah, so you won't suspect nothing. The mother and the father is spies, you know. And they don't have to necessarily be the United States spies. It could be Russian or other foreign entities that want to do damage, you know, to a community or to a country. And so a whole family could come into the Nation of Islam, grow up in it, and at a certain age they recruit the children, and they already got the mother, the father. You could be grandmothers and grandparents that's spies among you. And at first they was just using the white agents, but now they always have been able to get our own people to turn against us for a little chunk of change. They'll do some strange, as my brother Mike Epps be saying. So all the organizations and all the leaders are scrambling all your teachers, because all, you know, it was other teachers, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, and other teachers that had different insights on how the Caucasian works amongst us and how he brings us down. So we're going to come back in a few. So stay tuned.